Hi, I just wanted to start off this speech with a little story. So imagine that you're at a home improvement store. You're picking out your perfect shade of paint that you want for that perfect accent wall that you just happen to have in your bedroom. That you just went to look at this perfect house you talked to your realtor about. Everything's going smooth, you just wanted to put the bid in on it, and you should hear back tomorrow whether or not that bid that you plan on putting in is going to get accepted. But before we get to the conclusion of this story, let me introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth Grace Germain, and I work as a teller at a bank. Alright, so let's get back to this story, shall we? So you've picked out that perfect shade of paint, you get in your car, you drive home to wherever it is that you may be living. Not the home that you want, but a home nonetheless. And you get there and you get a call, and it's from your realtor. And it turns out that you can't actually put in a bid on that house. And you're sitting there baffled and confused, and you can't figure out why, so you ask the dreaded questions, why not? And the first thing that she tells you is that when she talked to a mortgage rep for you, you have no credit, bad credit, or not enough. Okay, so why would something that is that important in someone's life just be ignored? Why would we choose to avoid the topic of credit scores when it's something that affects us in major life choices? Why would we go out of our way to purposely do so? So, if it isn't clear already, credit scores are extremely important to everyone's daily lives. So how does that affect you other than just trying to buy a house or trying to get a loan for a car or anything like that? Well, it affects you for your bank accounts as well. When people go to banks, as I would know, and people come up to me and they say they want to open an account, I have them sit with a banker. They come back to me. It turns out that their credit score affected their eligibility for a normal bank account. So they're actually not able to even get a normal one set up. They have to do a second chance one, which, as we all know, they generally have higher rates for when you have overdrafts and different things like that. So not only does it punish you in ways that you didn't expect it to, it also has clear ramifications on different things in your life as well, as if you were trying to go into the financial career field also, because they do run credit scores on those who are trying to get into the banking side of the world. So, now that we've talked about some of those possible things that it may affect you in your lives, we need to address what it is that we can do to change this epidemic that's increasing in the world, where students and kids and adults are even scared to address credit. So, what is credit? Well, you get credit from 5 different things, as was noted in an article on Consumer Reports through their money advisors. It actually has it labeled out, the different sections that your credit score gets broken up into. So the first 10% is new credit. 15% of it is the length of your credit history. 10% is the type of credit used. 35% is your payment history. And 30% is your amount that is owed. So what does that mean to you? It means even if you've had credit history for about 6 months and you got your score, you finally got your FICO credit score, and it came back good. It's around 700 and you're feeling excited. You think that maybe now you can go get that car that you always wanted. And it turns out that when you get there, you actually can't, because you haven't had your credit for long enough. That, and you've also might have used more than what your credit percentage should have done for your credit limit, such as if your credit limit is $100,000, let's say, for instance, that would be nice, right? If your credit limit is $100,000 on a credit card, you should really only be using about $30,000 of that, because that credit, what you use, that's important. You do not want to use your whole credit limit, and I stress that, because number one, your chances of being able to pay that back are more slim than if you only use 30%, and creditors do look at that. When they go to pull your FICO credit score, even if you have Experian or you have those different ones that they can pull your credit score, and you can see it's not the same credit score that they have at places when they're pulling it for different things. Now, they're working on improving that and trying to make it so that you can see your real credit score that creditors do see, but it's still in the works, so you still have to be mindful to not use your whole credit limit. Okay, so continuing on. So now you have a general idea of what makes up your credit score. So let's move on to how can you improve it. Well, the first thing that you can do is, if you don't have a credit card, to get one. I know myself, I put off getting a credit card for a very long time. Now, I may be younger, but I still did not want to get one. I always heard the horror stories that, oh, credit cards are so bad. They're horrific. You'll get in so much debt. You won't ever be able to pay it back. Onward and onwards. It's just the never ending cycle of people who have heard of horror stories themselves, of people with bad credit. But the truth of the world is that everything revolves on that credit. If you want to rent an apartment, you have to have credit. My one friend actually went to go get his apartment, and they asked for 6 credit references. And of course, he only had one. Now, he ended up getting the apartment because the apartment complex was flexible with him because they knew that he hadn't had credit. But not all places are like that, especially if there's a high demand of apartments and they're going to be particular about renters because they know that from that credit score that you're more likely to pay back. Now, that also improves your likelihood of getting student loans is if as soon as you turn 18 or as soon as you listen to this speech and realize the importance of credit scores in history, you go out and you get a credit score. That is fantastic. Use it wisely. Some tips that came actually from a marketing communications manager at a credit union from Melissa Smith. She says to keep your balances at the 30 to 40% of your credit limit, which I just discussed, and you also want to be able to pay down and spread out your debt. So say you use it for your school books. That's great. That's a good way to start. Just use it for one thing. Use it for gas. Use it for your school books every semester. And make sure that you know that you're going to be able to have the money to pay that off. That's the other important part, is if people couldn't already tell, that's what gets people in trouble. Unfortunately, some people are just told it's bad, or some people aren't told anything at all. They just are told, here's money that you can just have, and then at some later date you'll pay back with some small insignificant interest rate that turns out to be something huge, and you're paying like 5 months down the road, you're paying almost double if not triple for whatever it was that you bought, which isn't the point of credit. It's for emergencies, and it's for to help build your credit score up. Okay, so an article that was entitled Secret Scores You Need to Know About also gave some more tips, where if you pay all your bills on time every time, your credit score is bound to be okay. So if you get denied for credit someplace, say you do go to try and get that car that you've wanted, and they deny you for that loan, and you can't figure out why, you are able to ask. You can ask them, did it have anything to do with my credit score? If they say yes, you can ask to see it. You can always ask to see your credit score because that is more of a reliable source than anything else that you could possibly look off. Even the places like we spend millions, I believe I read statistics somewhere where it's like millions or billions, that it would actually, that's how much people pay a year to find out their credit score. If you go to like a bank, like you know at my bank, if you go in and you just apply for identity protection, they'll give you your credit score right there. That's an accurate credit score. Trying to get it off of some site online like Credit Karma or something like that, that may be an accurate credit score for them, but that's not a completely accurate score for what other creditors are going to pull when they're trying to decide if they want to give you a loan or not. So if they're denying you or giving you a higher interest rate than the market rate, ask them. Always ask them. It's always important that you do that. Okay, so let's see. Now you know credit's important. You know that if you don't already have it, you should go get it. And if you actually have credit, some type of loan or anything like that, you want to make sure that you don't abuse that. Make sure that you're using your credit responsibly and that you also are aware of how much is on your credit card, when the monthly payments are, and also that if it fits your cash flow better, whether you get paid like bi-weekly or anything like that, you can always talk to your credit lender for your credit card or your car or anything like that and ask if you can change the payment due date. You don't have to have it on whatever date it was that they told you. You can always ask them if you can change it to what fits better for your payment that you get for your payroll. Always. You can always do that. Okay, so after going over all this, I hope that everyone here has learned a better story about why credit is so important and that we can't just ignore it. We have to be mindful of it. So if you hear someone talking that credit is bad and that they shouldn't go get it, you can step in. tell them, no, that's an important part of your life. You just have to use it properly. You can't go out, you can't abuse it. You can't just use that as if it's free money, because it's not. You don't want your credit card to get charged off, because that results in even worse implications than if you were to not have a credit card at all. Although having no credit isn't good either. There's a happy medium, and we all just need to work on finding that. But the first step is to learn more and get more knowledge on it. So I hope that you enjoyed my speech about credit and credit scores and the importance that it has on everyone's daily life. Thank you so much, and I hope that you do get to paint that accent wall at your house one day when you get your credit score up and good. Thanks.